Mark your calendar, don't go to school or work, cancel your dentist appointment, put your Neopet in a hotel, because this ain't an hour. This ain't just a 15-minute break. This is 1992's Giant Robo, the day the Earth stood still. No relation to the movie. A 7-part OVA, or series of straight-to-video movies about a young boy, Daisaku, who's the only one who can control Giant Robo with the aid of his watch. The duo are part of a sort of superhero team, the Experts of Justice, coming together to save the world. That's really the name you're gonna go with, the Experts of Justice. We have those in America. They're called lawyers.
The international police organization's mighty Experts of Justice have been formed, comprised of members from around the globe. Fighting by their side is the greatest robot on the planet, Giant Robo, commanded solely by one young man, Daisaku Kusama.
The setting takes us to a retro future powered by a clean, efficient, recyclable source of energy.
Jawbreakers!
No, it's the Shizuma Drive, a power the Earth depends on so much, the evil cult Big Fire wants to have complete control over it.
Hail Big Fire! Allegiance or death!
Giant Robo, I've been told, is a classic anime, but if I ignore a small reference in Teen Titans, I've personally never heard much talk about this series. So I'm here, me, a cartoon reviewer, am going to find what made this anime, Giant Robo, so great. The day that Earth stood still. This is a review requested by Nicholas P. for the Patreon review raffle chosen every 2 months. I'm trying to raise money to get the whole podcast to MomoCon in May, also to help me continue the Tony Hawk Games retrospect. Those don't make as much views as my top 10s or cartoon videos. I love doing top 10s, but I also like to do more riskier videos that don't get in as much traffic. Anything helps, or just share my videos around, that's free. But now, Giant Robo. To give you all some context, Giant Robo is based on the 60s manga by... You gotta be kidding me, I can't pronounce that. Mitsutaro Yokoyama. His more famous creation to us Americans would be... But if you were alive during the 70s, Giant Robo had a live-action Ultraman-type TV show more Americans would recognize. In the US, it was retitled to Johnny Sacco and His Flying Robot, because the name Giant Robo was just too dignified. Consider this 92 series I'm reviewing a retro throwback, not only in animation style, but tone. You know those parodies of soap operas where an evil twin shows up and they're like, "Brother, I haven't seen you since that fateful day you went on the hot air balloon ride." Well, that's the type of writing you're gonna get here. It's cheesy, it's melodramatic, and full of weirdness, yet the characters take it completely seriously.
We could have put the drop on him if it weren't for you!
I'm sorry, Tetsuki.
Now we have everything we need to recreate the tragedy of Bashtar.
You maniac! Are you out of your mind?
Hardly.
I came into this assuming this will just be a big dumb action cartoon. While there is some action, it really is more of a drama. I'm pleasantly surprised at how character-driven this is. Calling this series Giant Robo is a bit misleading when it's really about the Experts of Justice. I didn't expect to grow so attached, but always my empathy goes towards any boy in his robot story.
If you can hear my voice, please stand up. Come back. We need you.
Because this was a limited 7-part series, don't get too attached to these characters. It's heavily plot-driven, and much of the action has a lasting impact as the story progresses. Not everyone you see is gonna make it out alive. It's less like the Avengers and more Seven Samurai. The heroes, for the most part, feel greatly disadvantaged, as the villains often have the upper hand. Like, can the heroes just catch a break? Just once. You feel bad for these guys. It's style and substance. Maybe a little too much substance. Marathoning this was kinda hard when there's so much dialogue, and would you believe the previously on Giant Robo recaps are 10 minutes long? Like, come on. I want to see Robo. Please. I have custody for this week. One of my preferred mecha animes of choice is The Big O, Japan's answer to Batman, following a millionaire negotiator who has access to a mech, also controlled by his watch.
Now, Big O!
It's showtime!
Why I lean towards Big O and Giant Robo's mechs is because you feel their presence. They're heavy, slow-moving, devastating machines. Your typical animes like Gundam and Evangelion focus more on agile, quick-moving mechs that move how a human would. In contrast, Big O and Robo don't feel human. They feel like machinery. When the action gets going, every step they take craters the ground around them.
What is that? No! It's Giant Robo!
It's easier to animate quick-moving characters than it is to make slow-moving monsters that require more frames to illustrate the power that's required to simply take one step forward. These are near immovable objects, and you feel it. Giant Robo is a mofo.
All right! Switch to petroleum drives! Be quick to establish the wire mech perimeter! The fate of the world rests upon this battle!
Even the technology of this world of tomorrow has a personality. You aren't told how it works, you are shown. Moments of breather display mechanical parts, hydraulics, gears shifting and moving around, levers pulling, wires being set up. It all feels plausible at how technology functions. The orchestrated music score amplifies the style. It sweeps up the action into feeling all the more grander as the world falls into peril. The main conflict of Giant Robo is the Shizuma drive, the perfect energy source the Earth relies on, yet all around the world it has been deactivated, leaving society without power. It gets you thinking, what if we did make the perfect source of energy, only for it to stop working? This is where Giant Robo itself comes in, as it's powered by nuclear energy, an energy once considered the future during the atomic age. You know, near the same time the mangas were drawn. But now, this energy is seen as too dangerous and better suited for episodes of The Simpsons.
The world will once again be thrown into darkness, just as it was with Bosch Tarl.
If you look back at Japan's media during the 50s, they had this fascination with atomic and nuclear energy, a power used on them during the war, then repurposed to be their savior in fiction. Why is that? Maybe it's the idea these forces can be used for something more than destruction, it just depends on who wields it. Godzilla, a creature formed from the atomic bomb, can terrorize Japan in one movie, or be its savior in a different movie. As for that old versus new dilemma, it's more relevant now when we focus even more on the future technology, while discarding what's obsolete without thinking long term. Maybe it also reflects the change in mecha animes. Modern age mechas became sharp, slick, fast moving, and overly detailed, whereas old mechas look bulky, slow, and didn't have as much detail. This whole anime is a tribute to that era, showing there's still a place for that style. And maybe there is a place for nuclear energy. Or not. I'm not educated on that subject. I guess that's the kind of stuff good sci-fi should have us questioning. But to that question of old versus new technology, I have to say, shut up and buy a new iPhone already. Nobody cares, Banksy. Yeah, we use it to communicate with our friends, get some, oh, I really want to talk to random strangers on the bus, but these iPhones ruined my life. Shut up, God.
Justice will prevail! 16 in the heavens, 8 on the earth! UFO to be!
Another thing I'm questioning are the characters. Jumping into this not knowing a thing about the Robo franchise was very confusing, like everyone here has superpowers, and also maybe an android or Cylon. Out of nowhere, it seems like their powers get them out of a jam without really establishing what their powers were. I felt a little cheated at times, like, okay, did I miss something? He was a robot and could power up a generator himself? It's not a twist, it's just not properly established. Or I missed something and somebody will correct me. To my dismay, Giant Robo is a sort of crossover. During production, Mu Animation Studios had the license to use Daisaku, his robot, and big fire enemies, but they could not use any side characters from the same manga. But they could get characters from the manga creator's other work. What we got here is a mishmash of lesser-known characters I can barely find any info on. It's like if we had a Justice League movie starring Batman, Lex Luthor's daughter, Rubber Band Man, one of the Green Lanterns that isn't green, and Lego Shazam. Honestly, that'd be better than the 2017 Justice movie. That film's not out yet as I make this video, but I'm pretty sure it'll get around a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. The obscure mishmash of Robo characters shouldn't matter. What should matter is if the anime is good on its own. It can get confusing, so you just gotta roll with it. Just accept these are superhumans and or robots that look human and you'll be fine, mostly. Who knows, there's probably someone out there whose first superhero movie is The Avengers and is confused as to why that guy turns green, giant, and still has pants on. One of the worst cases of poorly established powers was this bad guy here being restrained and covered in those mystical long papers you see in anime and Chinese vampires. Here, he's stuck in place and about to be finished off. But no, looks like he was hiding his head within his shirt. Like, is that a power? Is that a goofy cartoon thing? Did he regrow his head? I don't know what happened. If you're making a superhero story, please, establish your character's abilities and limitations.
Why is this making you so crazy, Tetsugu?
This ain't crazy, it's just not right, that's all.
What is the matter with you? Do you even have opposable thumbs?
Most of the time.
Because I don't like to read subtitles, I always prefer dubs. I'm sure by simply stating that I pissed a lot of you off since none of you have any real problems or social skills. But there are 2 English dubs for this series. The first was made when the series was still being produced. Each chapter released months or even years apart. In that time span, several voice actors never returned and they went between different American distribution companies, so it's a bit of a mess. The main kid, Daisaku, went through 3 voice actors. But in 2004, Media Blasters did a whole new redub, which is what I'm using footage of. This is the one with Dan Green and Mike Pollock, also known for their roles on 4Kids animes, but don't worry, this ain't 4Kids, the violence is all intact. You can still pretend you're mature because your cartoon had a gun and said a dirty word. On its own, without listening to the original dub, everyone's voice fits their character. Yeah, it's hammy, but it matches the cheese around it. But if you're not sure what to watch, this DVD box set contains both. And if you're really crazy, you can buy the Eye of Vogler DVD case, or just import the Blu-ray from Japan for over $. Fuck you. Jumbled in these boxes of DVDs is the GinRei Special, a special agent racing against the clock. She's low on ammo, short on time, and long on legs. Didn't know about this DVD. I assumed this would be some spin-off episode of the justice expert GinRei going on her own adventures as a spy or something. That'd be fun. What I can't get enough of are spin-offs that follow side characters in their own expanded universe, like the Star Wars franchise, you know? Hey, what's this 007 gun barrel in the back? Oh, they ripped off the video game GoldenEye. Not the movie graphic, the movie graphic's different. The video game. I can't blame them, the game was more famous than the movie. Upon playing this DVD, turns out I was wrong as to what this was. The GinRei Special is really Giant Robo's equivalent to Ren and Stimpy's adult party cartoon or Teen Titans Go.
I'm gonna kick your ass even without Robo!
Stop it, Daisaku!
My shizama juice!
The Giant Robo OVA is a tasteful action drama with the right amount of violence and not really any fan service outside GinRei showing leg, whereas the GinRei special has the characters talking about getting hammered, acting like a-holes, while GinRei herself loses her clothes as often as possible. They show tits and ass, yet no vagina, so this was a complete waste of time. If you're gonna have nudity without vagina, what's the point? Like, I was watching some Suicide Girls videos and hardly any of them showed vagina. Like, what are they trying to hide? Besides vagina, of course.
Double D missiles!
Still, the GinRei DVD is pretty funny and had me asking, what the fuck am I watching? But the way it's presented really holds it back. These have some of the most horrendous editing, cutting back and forth between skits of the characters in battle during the original OVA, and cutting to the same characters in a completely different skit. It feels like a random set of deleted scenes too raunchy for the series spliced together out of order. Though if you did splice them into the OVA, it wouldn't look too far off from the typical Gainax production. It's 3 episodes total, each about 20 minutes, but the 3rd episode is some sort of western and has 2 justice experts looking for something. It was boring and wasn't even a comedy like the first 2. Had this DVD not been included with the rest of the box set, I would not have bothered with it.
This really sucks ass!
The GinRei special is just a bunch of random ideas meshed together. It might have salvaged itself had they known how to edit, but I admire the idea. I think a lot of us would love to tell a great dignified story with our characters, and another part of us would like to get the same characters and draw softcore porn with them. Or is that just me? But one compliment I can give to the GinRei special is it gives some extra characterization to Daisaku. Because he was raised by the experts of justice, he never really had a childhood, thus shouldn't have the best social skills. They only ever talked about that aspect and never showed it in the OVA, but here it's demonstrated by talking to GinRei.
I just didn't want you to see me naked.
Huh? Well, why not? It's not like I've hit puberty yet or anything.
Oh, that's true. Well, perhaps maybe some other time, huh?
It made me think, maybe Giant Robo should have expanded on the pressures this kid faces having to save the world with a robot, and then it came to me. That's just Evangelion. But who needs analysis when this is about the adventure? The Giant Robo series ran 7 parts from 92 through 98. The chapters released about a half a year apart, but the gap between episode 6 and the grand finale was 3 years. Here is where they were struggling financially on low sales. The series ended its story conflict for the most part, but they included a sequel hook that was later ripped off by Evangelion 1.11. Giant Robo has never received a continuation despite having more episodes planned. Much of the crew went on to work on other mecha shows like G Gundam and Big O. There was an unrelated reboot in 2007, GR Giant Robo, that followed its own story and also ended on a cliffhanger. Saddest of all, the creator of Robo, Mitsutaro Yokoyama, lost his life in a house fire in 2004, leaving behind some of the earliest mechas in anime history. I just realized, is Giant Robo even a mech? Like, he's controlled by a watch, but he can think on its own. He's like a pet that obeys his master. Does that count as a mech? Is the Iron Giant a mech? The kid, he listens to the kid Hogarth. Is Syndrome from The Incredibles, is his robot a mech if he's controlled by a remote? They're both by Brad Bird. I've been calling him a mech the whole time in this entire video. It's just, I can't go back and change it. That's gonna take too long. It's too late for that. It doesn't count as a mech. He's a fucking robot and he's controlled by a remote control, basically. He's about as much of a mech as a Tyco RC truck.
Robo, come back to us. Hear me.
I don't care. You know, let me finish this video. Giant Robo never got mainstream broadcast in the US on Cartoon Network or anything. It's known better to an older generation. You know, before the anime boom of the 2000s, there were those fans trading VHS tapes and watching Akira in theaters, a life before the internet. 25 years have passed. I think it's time for a newer generation to see Giant Robo, the day the Earth stood still.
Giant Robo, rise!
Don't you want a rematch?
Toonami's always been crazy about robots, but something just clicked, and we've gone crazy.
It's big shots making their grand entrance.
For 1 week only, we're busting out some of the best giant robot shows ever made.
Don't hold anything back!
From the latest to the greatest.
Ready, all guns.
They're under attack.
With a little flavor thrown in between.
It's amazing, even Gigantor's here! Deploy all robots immediately. They're coming!
Giant Robot Week. All next week from 4 to 5 p.m. starting Monday. The robots are coming.
And so it begins.
Only Toonami.